Now, I don't know exactly what the minimum amount of pressure it would take to deploy the airbag, so I'm refraining from smashing my head repeatedly into the steering wheel just because I don't want the airbag to go off. Good morning. It is Friday the 31st. It is early in the morning. My match is a little under an hour away, and I'm feeling pretty good. I've got my plan. My plan is to be as laser focused as I was in my last match, and ultimately, I just want to make it difficult for my opponent. Win or lose, I want to walk off the lanes feeling like I didn't give them anything. That if they beat me, it's because they bowled incredible. And that's going to be the plan. Now, the weather is a little doom and gloomy. Rain falling. It's kind of a representation of either me or my opponents. One of us is going to have tears today. Let's hope it's them. But if I do what I think I'm capable of doing, if I execute, it's going to be them more than me with the tears. And I'm prepared for a long day. The first match starts at 8 a.m. and then there's a TV show tonight, and there's a lot of matches in between. I've made the show from this position before. Actually, I've won the tournament from this position before. And so I'm going to really call upon that experience during these matches to stay positive, to stay focused, and give it a good crack today. All right, roll call. I better get going.
And authorized personnel only. LTV is the...
Okay, we we started a little slow. I definitely didn't see the shape on the lane the way that I wanted to. I started straight, that was no good. Then I started to hook it, that was no good. Went back to straight, that wasn't any good. We didn't have a great start, but I just had this feeling that his look on his side of the lane too was going to transition, and so if I could find a little something, maybe we could swing that momentum the other way, and that's what I was able to do the second game. I was able to put together a pretty decent game at it. Another really good ball change late in the second game, which helped me strike out to get a lead change, and then it was going to come down to that last game. He bowled phenomenal last game. He had one really stubborn 10-pin late in the game that I think if that one falls, it would have made for a very, very interesting climax of that match. But this is how the game goes. Sometimes they fall, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you get the break, sometimes you don't. The idea is if you get a break, you got to try to capitalize on that, and that's exactly what I did that third game. Just kind of let a little opening in, and I went up there and threw two of the best shots of the match. And then it was over. So now we turn in our sheet, we go see who the next match is, we do it all over again. We keep doing it all day long. That's the plan. Rotate the arrows, mate. Okay, so a pretty good set. In the first game, I had a really nice look on both lanes, although the left lane was playing considerably straighter and tighter. But then coming down to the 10th frame, actually on the left lane, it was the 8th and 10th frame. Two really good shots just blew up and missed the spare in the 10th, which was a bit annoying, but again, I threw my spare shot where I wanted to throw it. It just didn't come off of it as much as I was hoping. Then we move into the second game, and again, the lanes felt really good for me. I had the right lane really hooking a lot more, but I saw the shape, executed really well. And then again, in the 10th frame, pretty much out of nowhere, that lane just blew up, and I went straight to the face for another open. And so, you know, I still had a considerable lead going into the third game, but opening both 10th frames, you know, the game could have been well and truly shut out before that. So I'm going to have to be aware that if I'm starting to see my ball roll a certain way, to be almost instinctual on when that blow up is going to happen, so I don't give away too many pins in the 10th. Get a bit of a break now, not long, but enough to grab something to eat, and I get to play the one, the only Parker Bone, the third. So looking forward to that. Hall of Fame competitor in him, and he's been bowling incredible this week, so I've definitely got to be a lot better on the fresh. I'm going to be a lot better on the fresh. Let's make it happen. Okay, we are checking the pulse. Still alive. We are still alive. And now, like I was saying earlier, Parker Bone the third. But it's not Parker that I'm worried about. It's actually me and how I wasn't able to get comfortable in the fresh this morning. I couldn't see it. I've got to be able to see it and get comfortable faster. Parker is he's a Hall of Famer, a past champion of this tournament, and he's got a very simple game plan. And so I probably need to simplify mine as well. I think everything that I've seen so far is going to give me a way better kind of thought process going into my match with Mr. Bone. And so it's going to come down to who is going to execute their plan better and who is going to crack. And so it's going to be my job to go out there and get as comfortable as I possibly can, as quick as I can. And I don't want to give Parker a lead or a big lead and try and run him down, because he's too good. Even as a senior player, let's call him that, we'll be polite, a senior player. A senior Parker is better than 96% of the bowling world still. So yeah, I don't want to give that guy any room, because he, as nice as he is, he'll stomp on the back of my neck as soon as I give him a chance. So let's not give Mr. Bone a chance.
I know he's having an off game right now, but all you Belmo fans, trust me, he will be back. He hasn't been 7-time player of the year because of games like this, but it's the challenges like this that make him one of the greatest players to ever throw a bowling ball.
Yuck. That was bad. That was a train wreck. Now, I don't know exactly what the minimum amount of pressure it would take to deploy the airbag. So I'm refraining from smashing my head repeatedly into the steering wheel just because I don't want the airbag to go off. But that is how I'm feeling. So what happened? Let's break it down. The very first thing that I knew going to that pair of lanes was that was a really, really tricky pair, at least on the right side of the lane due to the topography. And so heading into it, we already knew that it wasn't going to be a fun pair. The other thing we knew was we absolutely 100% did not want to hook it, because that topography where we thought it was really tricky was right where most other lanes would kind of hook off of it. And when it doesn't hook off of it, you're prone to leave a lot of 2 pins, 2 10s, 2 810s. And so the strategy was, let's stay much further right and use that topography issue as hold. But the way the pattern is built is there is so much friction to the right that you're now really on a knife's edge. You miss a little bit too far left and that topography comes into play, plus the pattern is also a little tricky for that wiggle spot. And so you can miss the friction down lane. But if you try to get it to the friction just a fraction early, it'll overbounce. And so I did not want to hook it on that pair of lanes. And so the first game, we had 9 out of 10 really, really quality shots, and they had to be. I think I had a 7-pin early, and then I had a split, which actually wasn't too bad a shot, but we just saw a little bit of transition, just a tiny bit. So I made a little bit of a move to be able to see that fresh oil. And then, we 4-pinned in the 10th, but that was me getting to the friction just a little too soon, just a fraction too soon. But we shoot 230. Parker bowled a great game. I think he had 258. And so now I'm down 20 or so pins. But I thought, if I can just stay right where I am, I might have a chance to bowl another 230, and maybe he starts to see transition and I can get I can cut into his lead. The problem that we saw was the lane started to hook in the front part for me. And so now staying where I was, my ball couldn't get down the lane to actually use that topography for hold. And that was worrying, because now I knew I had to jump in. I had to get left, even though it was, like 4 or 5 boards left at the arrows. It also now really put into play that topography. And so I was committed to making sure I got my ball to the friction. But of course, if I got it there too soon, it would just roar off that built-in friction into the pattern. And if I got it kind of going up the lane just a little too much, well, with the pattern and the topography, it never saw friction. And so that's exactly what I saw. Even shooting the spares, the 3, 6, 9, 10, like I hit what I was looking at. I rolled it the way that I wanted to. It just never hooked. It just hit that topography and bailed on me. So Parker bowled a pretty good game again, and he kind of let me back into it a tiny little bit with an open in the 10th frame. And so it was time for me to figure him out. And I just couldn't. Any miss left by a board was a 210, and any miss right by a board was through the face. And then, of course, if I hit the same spot too many times in a row, I felt like I saw early hook and transition. And so now I'm on a pair where I have no left, I have no right, and I felt like I was starting to see transition when I was hitting my target. And so late in the game, when it was over, I still wanted to take something away from the match. And, I decided to make a huge move left in, and it looked a little more consistent. I wouldn't say it was the most ideal part of the lane to play because of how the pattern is built, but I probably had a little more room playing, much further left, not throwing it as far right, but just kind of keeping it a little bit more in check. And it was all over by that point. And that's the game of bowling, that it's like it's impossible to explain how many variables come into the game. It's who you're bowling, it's the pair you're on, it's the pattern, it's the transitions. It's just so hard. It is such a hard game. And I think that's the part that if we could somehow translate that into how difficult it is, I think when players bowl well, there is way more respect to when you see someone perform so well, knowing all of those variables. And so I wish more people in the world understood just how difficult it is. And so we didn't have the finish to the Masters as we would have liked, but we definitely didn't give up. We definitely fought back hard after an early loss to Kim Bolaby in the second round. Top 16 finish. I mean, it's not the worst, but there are 15 spots better I would have preferred to be in. So what do we do now? Well, now we have to get ready for the next event, and we go eat a burger. That's the now. That's what we do now. We go eat a burger. You all know where I'm gonna eat. Now I'm gonna go find one. I'm gonna smash it, and then start the mental and physical preparation for the World Series of Bowling. But thanks for watching this week. Sorry it didn't end like the TOC, but you can't win them all. Trust me, I'm trying. You can't do it. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Peace. G'day, thanks for watching. If you loved this one, check out the rest of the videos from this playlist or any other playlist. Make sure that you like the video and please subscribe if you would love to be the first to catch any of the latest of the behind the scenes and a whole lot of other cool stuff.